Okay, Dreamer Plays.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be finally looking at the end of 2022's tier list up to today. We have a total of about 11 heroes plus 2 special heroes that I threw in because I think they'll be released in the upcoming week. Okay, so the tier list, well, overall I would say not that many changes. We're just gonna see where these heroes are gonna be inserted to, but as you know, these heroes that were released recently, many of them were free heroes, so they don't really have a place in the game at all. Okay, so resistance heroes are the same. You definitely need to build them, need to have them for guild raid scenarios, so many situations, even your Celestial Tower, and sometimes even in war, you know, in PvP you may need these heroes. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And then we have these heroes for scenario and Celestial Tower. Okay, maybe not less for Celestial Tower, you don't need the suppression, but for scenario, yes. And as you can see, I've included Serena as well in the tier list. I'm not sure if she's gonna come out next week. Okay, she looks like a Christmas hero because that's what they're doing in Korea server right now. They release a Christmas outfit for her, so she could be a thing. We don't know, but then again, she was released in season 3 in Korea, so yeah, that's one of the things that could differ. Okay, otherwise they could release Diana, which we will talk about later as well. She's also in the tier list in the S tier, okay, in scenario, because she is a single target damage dealer. Okay, but compared to whatever that has been released, I don't think she'll be as good as them in this situation in scenario, so that's why she's in the S tier. But for Serena, she's an amazingly powerful support hero that increases ignore defense efficiency for your team. She also has this shade effect that increases the ultimate gauge whenever she uses skills. And she also heals everybody whenever she uses skills, so there's a lot going on for her. She is one of the best support heroes that in future, if she comes out, okay, if she comes out next week, you better pull her. Okay, next up, we do have a few of the newer heroes here as well, like Myth Ace. He is actually okay in scenario, okay, because even though he's not a single target damage dealer, but he can kill mobs very quickly, I'm very sure. You can also use Platin, you can also use Clemith as a great support for scenario as well because of her attack increase, crit damage increase, ultimate skill gauge increase, and skill cooldown decrease on her ultimate skill. These are some things that she is pretty good for. She also removes buffs. Okay, she also converts debuffs to being unremovable. I'm not too sure if that's important in PvE, but yeah, she's also a decent support in PvE. Okay, but of course, compared to someone like Lina, compared to someone like Karin, you know, for the weaker players, also compared to Alice, I don't think she is going to be as amazing as in scenario, because she can't really heal until you build her out to a higher level, higher skill level. I've also shifted Chris down from the AS tier. Okay, Death is still really good in scenario, but not so good in Celestial Tower, of course. And then I've included Cheng Chen because she's also a suppressor for the Orochi scenario as well. Next up, for field exploration, I've kind of how do I say this? Shorten it, because previously in the previous tier list you realized that I split it into normal and greater field exploration, but now I realize it doesn't really matter anymore, because your farming behavior should be exploring in a hell difficulty and leaving that for overnight, so you only kind of need to do one. Okay, unless you really want to try hard and do it online and, you know, use single target damage dealers, which I listed here as well, you can do so for sure. Then for the greater maps, you kind of want to farm in the easy, or some people may even farm in normal, but I personally farm in easy because, you know, for every one map you get really good drops of tickets, and basically compared to normal, where you also get the same amount of tickets, you are using less. I do know that in normal you do get a chance of getting the L+ accessory, but since that is so rare, I think it's not worth it to use 2 times the tickets to try for that, and instead I farm in easy and get as many tickets as possible, dungeon tickets, raid tickets. Okay, so with that, I've merge them because the teams are roughly the same, and in fact you can even level up heroes in field exploration, so all the more the team really doesn't matter. But the most important hero is Casper, and she was free. Okay, so for Casper, she gives you loot boxes, additional rewards, and these loot boxes are pretty good, including a lot of enhancement stones and etc., or even dungeon tickets. Okay, and if you farm in hell difficulty, you also get the chance to get unsealed accessories. Sorry, sealed accessories. Yeah, so Casper is the most important hero for field exploration. Shane is not as important in my opinion, because if you are farming in easy, it's going to be very fast as well for greater maps. If you're farming in hell, of course you can use Shane for the speed, but then again, if you're leaving it overnight, she doesn't really matter. And as I mentioned, you can level up heroes in field exploration. You can even do so overnight. So put a team of heroes that you need to level up, leave them overnight, and they will grow in level. Okay, I think some people may not realize this, but yeah, I've been doing that for many of my heroes, so it saves a lot of EXP potions in that method. Okay, so yeah, these are the AoE damage dealers, and I already adjusted them so that all these heroes have purely AoE skills and none of them have single target skills. Okay, and then we also have the tanks and the healers if you really need some of them, but you know, if you follow the meta I've been mentioning, you don't really need that. Next up is the 4-man raid category. So as you can see, the 4-man raid category I have already adjusted. For 4-man raid, okay, not too much adjustment because it's roughly the same. You really just need the suppressor, a tank, a damage dealer, and a healer, something like that, right? So in this case, Serena is going to be a really good support hero. Could be better than Lina, okay, if you want to consider that. You can even use Diana. In future, Diana will have a role in the 4-man raids, okay, but the team that she is great in is not available right now, or not available in the shorter term. Okay, when Dylan's Plus and Evan 2 comes out, then I think she will be able to have a better chance in SS tier, and we will see some shifts in the best 4-man auto raid team. Okay, and then for Saleos raid, she's actually amazing there. In future, the Saleos meta is going to change such that it's going to be very DPS oriented. So sometimes in Korea server, even Cossack isn't used anymore. Okay, so but for now, of course, we're talking about global, so Cossack is still the best damage dealer here. And then we have Shane, Evan, Adele, Rachel for the debuffs. Okay, and Taka has been upgraded from the S tier to the SS tier because his buffs that he provides for your damage dealers is really good, and he will be able to allow you to do faster damage, kill the boss faster. Okay, the reason why I pushed down Chris, even though he's still good, because for now he is probably still SS tier if I replace Diana here, but in future I don't think you really need to rely on crit rate because you have the orbs, you have more destinies. I'm sure Cossack can hit the crit. If you use a crit pad, you know, all these factors factor in, and even without crit, even without a very high crit, maybe about 80% crit, I'm pretty sure you can clear Saleos at this point in time very well. Okay, and then you also have the tanks, the supports. Okay, Rudy, Clemif, Karin, Lina, Serena, Shay, and of course your suppressor Mercure. And Clemif is again in the SS tier because of her attack increase, crit damage increase, and ultimate skill gauge increase, and skill cooldown decrease. All these are very good skills that Clemif provides for the Saleos team. Okay, and in fact for Saleos, all you need to do is have about 3 to 4 damage dealers, including Rachel as the debuffer, and then you have 3 supports like Shay, you know, Lina, and at this point maybe Clemif or Rudy, and then you have Mercure as the suppressor. So technically it's 7 slots to play around with because the suppressor is compulsory, right? So I think Saleos is the most variable one. But so yeah, there's so many of the heroes that we previously had in SS tier will push down to S tier. Okay, So for Catatrosphe Raid, I've also pushed down the 2 tanks to the S tier because right now I believe you don't really need to use tanks to mitigate the damage if you have 8 support heroes in the field, all healing you at once. Okay, of course if you lack the support heroes, please use the tanks to mitigate some damage. Yeah, so not much here in Catatrosphe Raid. I'm pretty sure many people can even auto this raid very well. Then we have the Orochi Raid. For the Orochi Raid, I've also shifted down some heroes, okay, shifted down the tanks as well. I don't know of an auto strat for this at this point in time, okay, but in future, this will probably look like the lineup we'll be using very soon, with Cosette as the best one as well, Shane, Evan, Rachel, Adele. Diana is also great, with Taka boosting ignore defense efficiency, and then we have Tio as the suppressor, so again you have 7 other slots to play with. Chris is still here, okay, I put him here for the crit rate up because I think Orochi is definitely slightly more difficult than Saleos. And then we also have the support heroes to tank the Dark Prison. Serena is going to be amazing here when she comes out as well. Okay. The unfortunate thing about Dylan's is that I mean, I won't say his damage is fallen, but in future when there are more amazing damage dealers, or you know, damage dealers like Taka that actually provide a better buff to the entire team, unfortunately Dylan's takes a back step in that respect. Okay. Then we have Guild Raid. So for Guild Raid, the teams are largely the same. I kind of became more strict when making this tier list because I just wanted to put the best heroes in the SS tier and then the possible heroes in the S tier. Okay, so for the SS tier, the best team right now will be Noho, Chris, Ruri, and Taka. Cosette is if you don't use her in the Fear Raid. And Alice is possible over Taka as well. If you need the healing and if you're not too good with using Taka, then Alice is possible. And then for the Silence Raid, you have Gillahan, Rachel, Adele, and Kagura. Although some people do use Aquila as well. I personally use Aquila because she does provide a buff for Adele, because she will protect Adele as well, being the highest attack, being the hero with the highest attack. Yeah, so if you're not too good with either of these, you can also use Alice here or Karin. Okay, these are potential heroes that you can use because Karin and Alice do reduce the attack of the Silence Dragon, which means you take less damage and you will survive better if you're not too adept with the raid. For the Fear Dragon, you have Seek, Lina, and who's this? Cosette, and then Shay at the moment. But once Serena comes out, Shay will no longer be used here. Serena is the better version of Shay for this particular raid. If you are not using Cosette here, you can use Evan Plus as well, because these two heroes, they do not jump and you can put them in a position where they will always be in that position. That is why I pushed down all these jumpers, because right now we're using the north, south, east, west formation. If you've been watching the videos, you know what I'm talking about. This formation will actually allow you to, you know, not have to run so much, and your damage dealers can focus on doing damage, and you can just toggle between the heroes to, you know, avoid skills easily. But these three DPSs, they tend to jump all over. They tend to jump to the back of the the dragon, so it really spoils everything. So that's why I put them in this particular A tier. But if you're not using that formation, of course you can use them, but you have to do a lot more running, which means your score is going to be lower. Then we have the dungeons. Dungeons, not so much has changed at all. I think the best team that people are using in Korea right now for the gold dungeon is actually Yeonhee, Jave, Rin, and Serena. Okay, Serena is really good. She's used everywhere. Yeah, I forgot to put her in the dungeon. I forgot to put her here, but it doesn't matter, to be honest. Okay, so the soul dungeon will still be range heroes. Okay, predominantly range heroes, and you'll be using Cosette, Chris, Lina, and maybe Shay, or another damage dealer like Ruri for the fastest time. For the Elixir and Rune dungeon, you can use any comp you like. You can actually use range or damage melee. Okay, with Diana good here as well. In future, she'll be one of the auto teams, and you know, T16 could be a thing really soon. No idea when, but could be a thing. Okay, same for the raids as well, 4-man raids, T16 raids. Yeah, so this is just a heads up for you, so you know that, you know, Serena is actually a good hero to have. Diana is actually a very good hero to have as well. Okay, so these are just some tips for you for the future. Yeah, so Serena, same kind of support lineup. Okay, for the EXP dungeon, we'll focus on melee heroes. You can even use Myth Ace here. Okay, he's a melee hero technically. So yeah, why not? And then you also have, if you need some bulk, you can throw in the tanks with 1 support hero and 2 melee heroes, then you should be set. So I kind of expanded the PvP area. It used to be 2 rows, but now I want to split them up like that so you can see it a little clearer. You will realize that the SS tier has shrunken, and the S tier as well, with very little heroes. But to be honest, in the top tiers, it's really just about these heroes. Okay, the reason why these 2 are in the S tier is because they do not, like, without them you will not lose as well in the higher tiers. Okay, of course they are definitely great heroes. Okay, I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not used as much anymore in the higher tiers. Of course, in the lower tiers, I do see many people still running Teo and Yuri, and that's completely fine. Okay, but the main thing is Myth Ace. He's used in every single team. Every single team. Platin is getting a rise in usage as well, and Ming is just a monster, used in almost every single team as well in the top tiers, unless you are running this comp, which is the Tank Mace comp. The Tank Mace comp, predominantly the pets. I think the pets play a much larger role in determining the comp that you use, because if you're running a Ming pet comp, this can work. If you're running a Jave pet comp, this can work. If you're running a Rue pet comp, this can also work. Okay, but some people prefer to have Ming as a control. In that case, some people also use debuff oriented mace comps such as Mace, Ming, Ace and Platin. Again, this 4. Yeah, this is a very control oriented comp. You can also run Platin, Rin, Ming and Ace. That is also a very strong debuff oriented comp, especially if you have a debuff pet such as Quiz pet, or you have a Rin pet. These pets actually increase debuff duration, so when you pair Ming with that, she is absolutely disgusting because of her charm. You'll be charmed forever, you'll be stunned forever, you'll be blind forever. Yeah, so these 4 make a great comp as well. And then we have Clemith, who just entered the circle. Clemith can be used in the tank comp, which is gonna be Mace, Rudy, Clemith and Karma. That's one possible thing. You can also use Mace, Rudy, Clemith and Ming. That's also a possible comp. You can also run her in the burst comp, which is gonna be Mace, Ming, Clemith and Platin. That also works. Okay, you can also run her Rin for unremovable blind. Okay, that's gross. Yeah, so she can be used in debuff comps. She can also be used in tank comps as support. She's very flexible, and that is why she is going to be remaining in the SS tier for a very long time moving forward. Okay, I've also spotted 1 Karin in the higher tiers, so that is why I put her here, and she is definitely a decent option over if you don't have Alice, right? She can also do the revive for you if you don't have a revive pet, so that's also a okay alternative, right? So Teo and Yuri, as I mentioned, they are not bad. They're just not used as much, and without them, you have other alternatives. Okay, if you don't have, of course, some people also run the pure Bombardment 2 comp, which is Yuri, Rin, Platin, and Mace. Yeah, that works. Teo, Rin, Platin, Mace also works. Without them, it doesn't mean you will lose, because if you have these combinations, you can still do really well. Yeah. Okay, so now we move on to the A tier. They consist of a lot of heroes that were previously in the higher tiers but have just shifted down, and we have these 4 very faded heroes because I realized that even though they are new to this particular tier list, I see nowhere to put them. Yeah, maybe Lania I put her above, but the rest like Kagura, Lee and Nia, who were all free, I really don't see anywhere to put them, so I just want to give them a shout out that, hey, yeah, they do exist, but they don't exist in this tier list and they are quite useless. Okay, so yeah, here you go. Shane, she's still okay, in lower tiers. Definitely not in higher tiers because mace will just kill her. The thing about Shane is that if you put her in a particular position not directly opposite to Ace, there is a chance that she can still be used. Okay, so it depends on your positioning on your team. Chris, I think some of the heroes here, like Chris, Woyong, and who's this? Espada, they can still be used as a good team 3 for your tag or for your Guild War. So that's why I still see some viability in terms of PvP in the overall sense. Okay, so that's why I put them in the A tier. Rudy as well. You can use them in Team 3. I think some people still use Jave as Team 3, but not so recommended against the meta right now. And Jave is definitely not seen in the higher tiers of PvP. Some people still use him in the lower tiers, that's fine, okay, but not in the higher tiers at all. Then we also have Carl, who just vanished. Carl and Bolt actually, both vanished. They were used like for 2 weeks, and then they are just gone because of mace. So yeah, Cheng Chen as well, 2 weeks, and she's gone. So these heroes, I just wanted to put them here for a mention. I believe in the next tier list they'll be gone. Yeah. So yeah, just take note that they exist. Okay, finally for maze, not much has changed here because the way I put the maze heroes in this particular tier list is that, you know, they are not subjected to any sort of tiering, more like they are subjected to, they are arranged according to their roles. So we have the AoE damage dealers here. We also have the single target damage dealers. In fact, the most recent maze, many people are using single target damage dealers to kill units one by one because, you know, there are some heroes that there's some effects in the maze right now that if you kill a particular hero too early, they will provide immunity to the whole team. So for safety reasons, some people prefer to use single target damage dealers to deal with those units. To deal with the other units in the team, and then they will kill that final unit last. So yeah, that is the safer play here. And then we have AoE damage dealers for the fast ones, which really don't need too much coordination in your team. We also have the control heroes. Okay, Bai Jiao is amazing for mutation. And then I'm not sure why I think I put Shane here for the pull and the push. Claire as well. But more importantly, Ming, okay, her outgate control. And then Karma as well, outgauge control and skill cooldown increase. They all work in maze. And then we have Platin, who is new for the recovery reversal, and then also he provides a buff if you're using range or DPS heroes. Yeah, and Orly is great as well for the silence. Okay, her effect over time silence. Clemith is newly added here as well. Okay, Clemith, I believe will have a great place in maze as well because she's amazing in PvP, so I don't see why not. And then the rest are pretty much the same. I think Serena will also become a possible unit in maze because of her buffs that heal you every time, also gives you ultimate gauge like Shay, and even gives you ignore defense efficiency, so she's just amazing. Yeah, so yeah, that's about it for this tier list actually. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any heroes that you felt that should be in the tier list or should be adjusted, do let me know in the comments. So if you found this video helpful, do give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Big shout out to my channel members Chilin Gonzalo, Jude, McGee, Nick, Yamaki, Kevin, Harlan, and JDM for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!